Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Monique Renee and today I'm going to teach you how to draw hair. So this is actually part 1 of part 4 series on how to draw hair, and today I'm teaching you how to actually draw and construct it. So let's begin. So first I wanted to go over some common mistakes I see beginners make when drawing hair. The first of all is they forget that hair has mass behind it. Hair is not some static, unmoving thing. It has a flow and some oomph behind it. So when you draw hair, you want to make sure that you're taking account for that. Hair actually grows up and away from the face, not down in front of it. So just something to keep in mind when you're drawing hair, that hair has mass. The second thing I wanted to go over is that hair actually is made out of a lot of different strands. But when you're drawing hair, you don't necessarily want to draw each individual strand. So what I mean by this is when you're drawing hair, keep in mind that not to add too much detail to it, or else it's going to look flat and all your details are going to get lost. So when you're drawing strands of hair, and I'm going to go over this more later in the video, but when you're drawing strands of hair, make sure that you only draw what's absolutely necessary. When you draw too many lines, the whole thing gets really muddled and it looks not quite right. So just keep that in mind again when you're trying to draw hair. So now we're going to actually start constructing the hair on the head. Now the first step you want to do is make sure that you have a hairline. I see people forget this step all the time, but it's pretty important because hair does not grow on the back of the head. Instead, it grows directly from the hairline. So your hairline can be many different shapes. It doesn't have to be one static line, but you do want to make sure that it reaches from the edge of the ears and goes all the way around the face, kind of framing it. So as you can see here, this is the hairline that I started out with. Nothing too fancy, but when you go from here, you want to then decide the direction of the hair. So what I mean by this is keep in mind that hair has mass. So when you're thinking about drawing hair, you need to decide which direction you want it to go. It can go kind of straight down into the face, or it can be like blowing away from the face, but you need to decide a direction in which you want it to go. So I just drew some simple arrows to show the way that the hair would kind of fan outward from that hairline. So once I decide that, then I go in and start drawing chunks of hair. So what I'm doing here is I'm just drawing really basic shapes so I get the kind of silhouette of the hair down. I don't add too many details in this step, but here is where I decide the main shape and flow of the hair. Now during this step, you kind of want to keep everything loose and flowy. Keep in mind that hair isn't static, it's always moving, and that again it has mass. Another thing you want to keep in mind is that hair is always interacting with the face and with the rest of the body. So as you can see here, I draw some more arrows just to show you that hair it's not static, it's always interacting with something. So the hair will like fan away from the chest, or it will frame the face, something like that. Hair never just grows in straight linear lines, it's always moving around something. So then the next step I do is I actually start adding some details. So this kind of goes back into that thing I said at the beginning of the video where you don't want to draw too many lines, otherwise everything is going to get lost. So I keep in mind that the main strands or lines that I want to draw are in the darkest areas of the hair or in the shadows, specifically around underneath the ear area or in the neck or where the hair is growing out of the hairline. And this part is really intuitive to me, so I suggest that you definitely just practice drawing these kind of lines and see what works for you. It definitely took me a long time to come up with this kind of technique that I have, but hopefully this video will kind of help you figure out what I do. And then from there, I'm just going in and adding details. This is actually my favorite part of drawing hair. I break out of those guidelines that I made before, and I just add all kinds of different strands and lines, anything basically that I want to do that just makes the hair look more alive and less static. So this is basically no rules, just whatever you feel like doing, just make a line and do it. Yeah, and that's basically the hair is done. So now I wanted to go over some straight versus curly hair because I get this question asked a lot. So the main thing to think about when you're drawing straight versus curly hair is the shape in which you're basing all the rest of your lines off of. So if you're drawing straight hair, you want to keep straighter lines, and if you're drawing curly hair, you want to keep curlier lines. Another thing to keep in mind when you're drawing straight hair is that hair is not always perfectly pinned straight. Most hair has some kind of wave to it, especially near the bottom. So when you're drawing curly hair, a thing I like to keep in mind is just the general shape of each curl, and every strand is as curly as the next one. Of course, you can add some variation of curls, but a thing I see people often do is they will only curl part of the hair, when you got to keep in mind that the whole hair is curly. So as you can see, I just add a whole bunch of different wobbly curly lines, and then I just go in and add details. Another thing when drawing curly hair is you do want to add more details than if you're drawing straight hair, because that's going to add more texture. And texture is really good for curly hair because, of course, curly hair is going to have a lot more texture and body than straight hair. So it is a good idea to add a little bit more lines when you're drawing curly hair. And then again, I'm just adding more details because I like to draw hair details. Anyway, so I hope this video was helpful to you. Like I said, hair is pretty intuitive to me. It's a lot of playing around and having fun. As you can see here, I'm just kind of constructing different shapes and different strands of hair. And just the thing to keep in mind when you're drawing hair is to just be loose with it. You don't want hair to be too static or too straight or too unmoving, because hair is one of those things that has a lot of body to it, and it's always interacting with the environment around it, and it can be really, really fun to draw. So I suggest taking a look at a lot of different hairstyles and photography of hair and just figuring out the basic shape of hair and then going in and adding details as you see fit. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Keep in mind I will be adding a few more hair tutorial videos, specifically how to color hair, and if you missed my first tutorial, be sure to click that one. I teach you guys how to draw a face. Make sure you don't miss that, and that's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!